Hey everyone, welcome back to Empowerment and Illness, the podcast where we explore health topics and share inspiring stories to help you navigate through the challenges of living with a chronic illness or condition. I am Gwen, your host. Today, we are joined by a beautiful couple, Alyssa and AB, who have faced some incredible challenges together. I saw Alyssa on TikTok where she was going live answering questions regarding her condition. We're going to hear their story, their struggles, and their successes. Alyssa, AB, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. Thanks for having us.
So let's start with you, Alyssa. Can you tell us a little bit about you and AB and then before your diagnosis?
Yes, so we met in 2016, hit it off pretty well, began dating, and within a year we were engaged. At that time we already had our son. He was 7 at that time when we met.
Yes.
And then we got married in 2018, got a dog. In 2019 we already had one, so that brought us to 2 dogs, and we got a house. We got our first home in 2019, and yeah, from there, that's kind of like the beginning of our story of how fast things moved. Seems very fast, but now looking back, it was over the course of a few years, and we were just always active, trying to create memories, going to concerts, events, sports events.
Yeah, just doing a lot of our hobbies, hiking. I grew up with a lot of land, so I tried to get Alyssa more into the country lifestyle. So when I got my first big boy job, I got a 4-wheeler, and we would go mudding a lot. We would take our son to do that. And actually, we were surprised because he's kind of a city boy, but he really enjoyed that. But yeah, just doing our hobbies. Really a lot. We were very active. We did CrossFit together.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually how we met one of our best friends.
Yeah.
She owned a box. Amanda Garces, shout out. Yeah, just like I said, pretty active people traveling, and traveling in Texas.
Yeah, we went to Austin.
That's actually where I proposed, in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Just kind of doing that, but also balancing. We were both kind of workaholics. Alyssa really enjoyed her job, her career, and so that kind of took up a lot of time. I kind of got lost in the trap of working extra jobs, and so I spent a lot of time doing that.
We were on opposite schedules. As of 2020, I was working daytime, he was working nighttime. If we saw each other, it was maybe for 30 minutes.
Or on the weekends when I was off, and then she would either be working half a day Saturday, be off, and also be off Sunday, or be off the whole weekend. So we would see each other like every other weekend until COVID hit. And then it was definitely, she was working 6 days a week. I was still, every other weekend I'd be off, but then I'd pick up an extra job. And so that's kind of where the story starts to begin, was after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're living your lives, enjoying everything, your day-to-day. And then what happened? Like, what were your initial signs or symptoms?
So, during the pandemic, I began feeling fatigued, extremely fatigued. Like we shared, we had an active lifestyle. Even though we were workaholics, we would still fit in our working out. We would still try to do things on our off days or the little time that we did have together. But I got to the point where I didn't have the energy to do anything. I worked and came home and slept. And on my days off, AB would say, let's go hang out with our friends. They want to go 4-wheeling, and I would say, no, I'm actually tired. I really need to rest. After a couple of times of me turning down hanging out with people because I was so exhausted, he kind of expressed that he needed to get out and do stuff. He was saying, when are you not going to be tired? Life is moving fast. You got to go out and create memories. And I shared with him, I think something's wrong. I have never felt this fatigued in my life. I think I want to go to the doctor and get checked out. And he agreed that that was a good thing to do. So I went, shared with the doctor, and she kind of was stunned, saying that, I was relatively healthy. I looked healthy, was in a healthy weight range, but let's run some labs, see if anything pops up, because I also shared that I had a family history of thyroid issues, so I was thinking maybe that's what's causing me to be exhausted. Yeah, and blood work came back normal. So she shared, maybe it could be stress. Do you think it's stress? And I said, well, my workload has increased a little. I don't feel more stressed, but maybe it could be a possibility. So she said, let's follow up in a couple months. So we did. After a couple follow-ups, everything was still the same. I was still fatigued. Blood work was still normal. And they said, well, do you snore at night? And I said, yes. My spouse has told me I snore. And I said, let's do a sleep apnea test. Maybe you're not getting adequate sleep, and that could be causing you to feel tired. And I said, okay, that makes sense. We did the test. It came back negative. So we're still back at not knowing what was causing this fatigue. Well, then by the next follow-up, I had another symptom. My smartwatch was going off to notify me that my heart rate had been over 100 for more than 10 minutes while I seemed to be relaxing. And that was the case. I'd be sitting down, just catching up with a friend, talking, and my watch was telling me that it was over 100. So I said, okay, I don't think that's normal. Let me go back to the follow-up and let them know that I had a new symptom. So I did, and they were kind of concerned, we don't understand what could be causing this. Again, your blood work is normal. Let's try to do a quick EKG. So we did. Nothing came of it. So my doctor was kind of like, well, we don't know what's causing this, but I don't want you to have to continue with an elevated resting heart rate. Let's try to put you on this medication to see if it can help. It's a beta blocker. It should slow down that heart rate and help you out. So I said, okay, started that. It helped. I did not have the notification going off on my watch anymore, but after some time, I developed heartburn for the first time. I had never experienced it before, and it was pretty severe. It was intense, burning sensation, and from that point of when I first got it, it was every time I ate. And after a couple of days of that, I was just wondering, why am I having this burning sensation all day, every day? This doesn't seem normal. So I was Googling symptoms, what could be causing this? I couldn't find anything except, for eating acidic food. So I said, let me go back to the doctor. I went back. I let the doctor know. And this time I saw a different doctor at the same clinic. And she said, well, we've been following your blood work. Everything looks normal. Doesn't really make sense. It could be because of your age. Now you're in your 30s. Maybe you can't handle some of the foods that you had ate before. And I said, well, it just doesn't really make sense to me because it's every single time I eat, regardless of what I eat. And she insisted, yeah, it probably is just you can't handle those foods anymore.
And at this point, it's the same clinic, but a different doctor. Her doctor was on, I think, maternity leave. You're normal.
I don't know. I just know she didn't have any availability for far out, so I just selected the other doctor at that clinic.
I think she was on maternity leave as well. Yeah, and in the beginning, it was her regular
primary care.
Her regular primary care doctor, and then the last 2 to 3 appointments, it was a different doctor. And this was the one that we felt like chalked it up to her age every time. Oh, well, you're 30 now. Your body changes. Oh, when I turned 30, I got heartburn for the first time too. Kind of stating things like that. Yeah, that was kind of frustrating for us looking back. I think that's part of the reason we both, tell our friends all the time, you know your body best. Even when she was feeling a lot of the fatigue, as she expressed, we were starting to argue a lot. And I think the tipping factor was, it was actually New Year's. She was tired. She didn't want to go to our family's house. And I was like, man, it's New Year's, we're supposed to go spend time with family, blah, blah, blah. Bringing the New Year around, people that love us, blah, blah, blah. And that's, around the time, she decided, and I agreed that, she should go to the doctor because it wasn't like her. But even everyone around us, and even I too, was like, well, she is under a lot of stress. It could be the stress. She was the only manager at her job at the time, which meant that she had to work 6 days a week, every week. Her job requires a manager to be on during open hours. And so, she was the branch manager, but if she doesn't have an assistant manager, then she's the one that has to be there. So I also chalked it up to, she's under a lot of stress. And then she's also working guaranteed 6 days a week. That's a lot, just doing, daily stuff for yourself. Even when the people that are around you, your loved ones, your close ones, even if your spouse, if they're telling you it's something but you don't feel like it's that, believe yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because even I look back, and I was supportive of her going to the doctor and continuing to go to the doctor, but I know at one point she was like, I'm not crazy. Like, she's like, I don't think it's this. And I would tell her, like, oh, yeah, like, I agree. But in my head, I'm like, girl, are you a hypochondriac? Like,
and that's exactly how I felt going back to the doctor. I'm like, I feel like they think I'm a hypochondriac, but I really don't feel like this is okay. I feel like something is really wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's because we've, especially in, I think, Western society, we put so much trust and confidence into our doctors to have all the answers and to feel like, oh, they're not steering us wrong, like they know more than us. But at the end of the day, like we've stated, they don't know your body as well as you. Sometimes you're going to the doctor, this is the first time they've ever met you, and you may have to tell them, you know, everything about what you're feeling right now, but they don't know your whole life, they don't know your whole body, they don't know, you know,
pain tolerance.
Yeah,
pain tolerance is different.
So there's so many different factors that go into it, and so you just have to have confidence in the fact that you know your body best. You know, however old you are, that's how long you've been in this body.
Exactly.
But you have the experience. So yeah, don't listen to anybody else. Don't listen to your spouse. If you're still feeling like you're not right, and I really commend Alyssa on continuing to stay on the journey. The only thing that I wish, well, there's a lot of things I wish we could do different, but the main thing I wish we'd done different was get a second opinion.
Right.
Like I said, if you're still feeling like something is wrong, go to another doctor, get a second opinion, because the answers are out there somewhere. It's not just that you turn 30 and you have heartburn now. That's not how it works.
Right. One thing looking back, because when she told me, you know, it's probably just my age, let's start this medication, I felt it like, no, this doesn't seem right to me, but this is a doctor. I will try what she's telling me to try, but I still don't think that makes sense to me. So looking back, I think if I would have asked for a second opinion outside of that, maybe we would be in a different place, but I don't think that I regret it. We don't know how things could change or not change, but just a learning experience and something that I would advise others. Like, if it doesn't sit right, don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion.
A lot of the times, because we are brand new patients, we don't know what to ask, right?
Right.
We are there, we have symptoms, and someone with a PhD, we think you're the expert, right? You went to school, you have all the knowledge. So I'm putting my faith in you because I'm brand new. I know my body. I know something's wrong. And so when they do or give you some help per se or tell you something, sometimes you're right, it doesn't feel right. We need someone that can be an advocate for us to kind of help us out. And we don't always have that. And I think that it's sad because we don't have anybody out there that can say, okay, I know I gave you this information, but why don't you go and get a second opinion? You know, it'd be cool if a doctor said that, but they never do.
Right.
They don't. I feel like there's a lot of pride involved.
Right.
Which, not taking anything away from doctors, you know.
They are very knowledgeable.
Yeah, they're very knowledgeable. They work very hard. I didn't go to school to become a doctor because I knew it was hard. So, you know, the old age saying, if everyone could do it, you know, then for me especially, just looking back, it was very frustrating. It was very frustrating for me as a spouse, not being more, I guess, because, you know, even though I'm her spouse, I'm involved, it's still like I'm on the outside looking in. And from that position, I still wasn't able to say, you know, babe, you know, I think we should go somewhere else. I think that we should get some more information. It was very much like, well, this is what the doctor said. Let's trust it, you know. Let's give mushroom coffee a chance so that you don't have any more acid in your diet, you know.
Right.
Let's not eat spaghetti because tomato sauce, you know. It's acidic. You know, when she says we and it wasn't just her. Like, we would both do it. We, like, I already don't drink a lot of coffee, but when I do, I drink whatever coffee she's drinking. So now I was drinking mushroom coffee too. It's not that I love spaghetti, but now, you know, we're not eating spaghetti. You know, we're not doing this, and people don't realize how much acid is in, or acidic things are in the food that we're eating. Yeah. But it's crazy, and so we cut back on a lot of things. Mushroom coffee is expensive.
It is, and it doesn't taste great.
Not taste good. And so I think she probably did that. We probably did that for
a couple months. I did
I
that.
felt longer than that to me.
Yeah, I'm sure it did because it was not fun. Yeah, we had a whole pamphlet on these are acidic foods that you should try to stay away from. So we cut it all out, started the medication she asked me to take, and I was not seeing any results. I was still feeling that burning sensation every time I ate. And at that point, I was frustrated, and I said, you know what, like, I just want to stop all the medications because now I'm up to 2 medications every day. I don't like taking medication unless I absolutely have to, and there's no end goal for this. They're just telling me to take this medication for the rest of my life, and that just didn't sit right with me. So I said, can we start over? Can I wean off the medication and do testing and figure out what is going on before I do try medication?
What happens when you finally get the diagnosis?
So from that point, I weaned off the medication, and during that time, after I weaned off the medication, I lost 15 pounds within 2 months, and then I started having difficulty swallowing. And when I say difficulty swallowing, when I would go to eat something, it would feel like it was getting stuck. I couldn't breathe. I would try to drink something to clear it, and it would feel like I was drowning. So at that point I knew, okay, this is really not right. Something is seriously wrong. So I went back, and at that point they said, let's get you to a specialist. Went to a specialist. She redid my blood work. That came back normal again. We did a CT scan. That came back good, nothing alarming. And then the last thing that we did was an endoscopy. At that point, from the visit of me sharing these new symptoms, 4 months had passed, no answers, none of the blood work, CT scans were showing anything. I was spending thousands of dollars to pay for this and not getting any answers. I was getting frustrated. This had been 2 years of going to the doctor, no answers, and I just thought, maybe everyone is right. Maybe it is stress. Do I really want to go through with this endoscopy? Because I'm going to have to pay another couple $1,000s to do this procedure, and then if it comes back as nothing, then I'm still in the same position of not knowing what's going on. But I shared those feelings with AB, and he told me, we need to figure this out. Let's move forward with it. Let's have the procedure, and then we'll go from there. So we did. They let me know on that day that they saw some inflammation in an area where they typically don't see, where the esophagus meets the stomach. They took a biopsy, and they would call me back in a couple of days with the results. So a few days later, called me back, and he let me know that I did have H. pylori. It was a common stomach bacteria that I had probably contracted it when I was a kid. It looked like it had been there for a while, and sometimes, on rare occasions, when H. pylori goes untreated for long periods of time, it can turn into gastric cancer, and that's what we were dealing with. After receiving that news, it was just kind of like a state of shock. AB and I were just staring at each other, I think, trying to make sure that we were okay. I know my thoughts were like, how is he receiving this? How is he feeling in this moment? And it felt like he was looking back at me in the same way, just trying to make sure I was okay. It just kind of felt like I tuned out. I just got so lost in that moment, and then I came back, and the doctor was asking me if I had any questions. And I just was in so much shock that I couldn't think of anything. I didn't know where to begin with my questions, but my main thing was, where do we go from here? What's next? And he said, well, it didn't show up on the scan, so we need to do another scan higher up. Maybe that's why it didn't show up. After that, we will get you with our oncologist. We also need to treat the H. pylori and get that cleared out before you start any treatment. And so, yeah, that's how we found out over a phone call.
Yeah, it's not like the movies. They don't call you in and sit you down. They just call you up one day and ruin your day.
Yeah.
You're just at home. I think I was cleaning maybe or something. I don't know.
We were in the living room.
Yeah.
I was in the other bedroom. I went to the doctor that morning because I was actually having an allergic reaction. So I went to the doctor that morning, and then I was in the other room. I was taking work phone calls. And then I just finished the meeting, and then I got that phone call from the doctor. Definitely unexpected.
Yeah. I think that was like one of my main things. Like afterwards, I was like, it's not like the movies. They don't call you in, sit you at their desk in their office,
Yeah.
and tell you this. Which I think is probably good because
You probably have anxiety driving into that.
You don't need to drive home. Well, not even that. You don't need to drive home after
Right.
Under that state because it is life altering. Yeah.
I felt like I was in disbelief afterwards, just thinking like, is that what we were really just told?
This is the end of part 1, Love and Strength, Alyssa and AB's story. Before we leave, I would like to close with a special portion of the show I call Healing Heartbeats. This is where we allow ourselves to wallow in sorrow. Give yourselves 3 minutes to laugh, cry, scream, cuss, or just sit in silence. Whatever you need to do to feel it, do it. Let the depression end for only 3 minutes. Once you reach 3 minutes, compartmentalize it and get back to living. This is a rinse and repeat behavior. You cannot let depression take over, because when you do, it will not let go. Go live in spite of having a chronic illness. Don't let your condition stop you. We will continue Alyssa and AB's story in part 2 next week. Until then, remember, you have the strength, the heart, and the support to continue your journey. Be safe.